Now let's set some variables to indicate our character speed. So we'll call it character dot x speed. We'll set that to 0 initially. And character y speed, which is also set to 0. Now, when we push our keyboard buttons, so say we push up, our up key, we want to set our y speed by using this, and we use this because we're here inside the character object. This function is a function of the character object, so we use this to refer to the character object. So this dot y speed, we'll just set that to let's say 3, but it's actually going to be -3, because when we're going up on our canvas, we're actually subtracting. And for our left, we're going to set this dot x speed to -3. For our down arrow, we'll set our y speed to +3. And for our right key, we set our x speed to +3. Now once the character function, enter frame function, detects what our character's speed is going to be for the x and the y, we want the character movie clip, which is this, we want the x coordinate to add whatever our x speed is onto its current coordinate. So this dot underscore x is going to, we're going to add our x speed onto this coordinate here. And same thing for the y speed. And let's see if that works. So I'm going to hit down, and we can see he's moving down. And he's still moving down even though I've let go of the key, but that's okay, we've got something happening here. Okay, so it's sort of working, but when we release the key, it's not resetting the x speed or the y speed. So let's figure out how to do that. So you'll notice there's we're basically setting the y speed and the x speed is either going to be -3 or +3. In no case can we see even where it's being set to 0. So let's just group the y's and the x's here together, and we'll use an else if statement. So if the up key is pressed, the y speed is going to be -3. Else, so if the up key isn't pressed, then we're going to see if the y key is pressed, and then set the y speed to 3. Now if neither of those keys is being pressed, which is our final else statement here, this dot y speed is going to equal 0. And same thing for our x, our left and right here. So we'll make this else if, and if neither of those keys is pressed, then the x speed will be 0. And let's test this out one more time. So I'm holding down right, and I let go, and he stops. Hold down, let go, and he stops. Let's see if he works diagonally too. There we go. So yeah, that's basically the control that we want. Now let's take a look at how we can make him face the proper direction that we are that we're pressing on our keyboard. So the first thing we need to do, we don't really need to do this part, but it makes things a little bit easier. If we go to our character movie clip here, the best thing to do is give names to each one of these keyframes by selecting the keyframe and then going to our properties panel. And we're going to call this keyframe up because it's the keyframe where he's facing upwards. And for this one we'll call it right. And for this keyframe will be left. And the last one will be down. So if we go back to our main action script here, when we push the up key, we want our character movie clip to go to and stop, and then we use in brackets the name of our keyframe. So let's just copy and paste this command for each one of our 4 directions. This will be down, left, and right. Now let's test this out. He'll probably be spinning, yeah. So initially he's spinning because we haven't hit a key yet. So if we hit down, we can see that he's now facing down. Now even when we're not moving, he still looks like he's walking. That's something else we can take a look at in a second here. But we can see that at least he's facing the right direction when we move him around. And yeah, when we're moving on a diagonal, he doesn't seem to be moving his feet either. But we got the basics of it down. So to get our character to stop moving his feet when he's not moving, we're going to have to go back into the character movie clip, and we're going to have to go further into our sub movie clips here. So first let's give these instance names. We'll just call them walk for each instance name. It'll just be easier to remember if they all have the same name. So if we go into here, you can see that this is the animation here. So there's 4 keyframes. There's one with his foot is up, and there's one where he looks like he's just standing there. And I've gone ahead and I've given this frame the name stand. So that's the frame that we're going to make him go to if he's not moving. And then there's the rest of his keyframes there. So we want to come back to our action script here, and we want to write an if statement. I'll put the if statement right here. So if for x speed is equal to 0, and our y speed is equal to 0, we want this character, remember we called his walking animation, called it walk, to go to and stop, and we want it to go to the stand keyframe. Now if we test this out, we can see that if I let go of the keyboard, he goes to his stand keyframe.